In this chapter, we are finally going to lay down some mesh and start modeling the body. So let's start by adding an object. So I will press Shift A and add a circle. I like to start with a circle. And we'll need to modify this to 6 vertices instead of 32. So expand this window here and enter 6 here. Let's press enter. And now if we rotate this, this is a simple 6-sided circle. And this might look weird that I'm starting with the legs, but I kind of like this approach where you start with the legs, finish with the pelvis, and then extrude the body from there. So let's now go into the edit mode by pressing tab, and let's move this to the side a little bit. So I will press G, then X, and move this to the side on the X-axis. And now if we look from the front, we'll need to modify this, scale it down, press G and X once again, and move it in place of the foot. We can zoom in a little bit and let's place it here. Don't worry about the topology right now, we'll come back to that. And now let's press F, so you can see we fill the circle with the face. Let's go back to the front view by pressing 1. Let's press E to extrude and extrude about somewhere here. And right now we'll need to shear this. That's a tool I really like because we won't be modifying the position of these vertices on the X-axis. You can find the shear right here in the toolbar, but there's a shortcut for that. You can use Ctrl-Shift-Alt-S, and that's a handful, but it's not that hard to press actually. So I will press Ctrl-Shift-Alt and S, and it looks like it's happening because you need to switch the axis around which the shear is happening. You can see it right here. Press X on Y to set shear axis. So I will press Y here, and now we are shearing this correctly. And let's do it like this, and press G and Z to move this up a little bit. So we are matching the point here. And now all we need to do is add a mirror modifier. So go to modifiers here and add a mirror modifier. And don't forget to enable clipping. So that way when we extrude something all the way to the center of the mirroring, it will merge the vertices that will touch. So now we can rotate this to the side. So press 3. And you can see we are a little bit off. So I will press A, press G, then Y, and move this a little bit back. Okay, now let's rotate this. Press 3 for face select. Select this top face. This is very important to do because if we didn't delete this face, I will press X and delete faces. If you don't delete this, it will stay inside and it might mess up your mesh later. Now let's look again from the front side, and I see I didn't match the scale of the reference too much. So let's just press A, S to scale, and Shift Z to scale this only on the X and Y axis, something like this, and then G and X to move this. So we want to match the side of the legs here. Now if we rotate back and press 2 for edge select, select this edge here and Control click here to select half of this loop. And now we press E then X to extrude this towards the middle, and since we enabled that clipping, it will merge at center nicely. So this is our base for legs and pelvis, and it's a little bit short, but then again we are creating stylized characters, so we can continue with this. Let's alt click here to select this loop. Let's look from the front by pressing 1 on the numpad, and now press E again to extrude. And we are not pressing any axis, so we are extruding this freely. And let's extrude this like that towards the side a little bit. Now we'll look from the side, so press 3 for a side view, and we'll scale this on the Y a little bit. So press S and Y, scale this up. And right now I want you to press R for rotate and rotate this a little bit. We can additionally press G and a little bit match the topology underneath. And the reason I rotated this is because in the human body you have basically 2 solid blocks, the rib cage, the chest, and the pelvis, and they're connected with the spine. And they go in a little bit of an angle. So you have pelvis like this, and you have a chest somewhere here, and they're connected with the spine here. And this angle is really important here, and it's good that the topology meets those angles, and then it's easier for deformations and animations and stuff like that. Now we can continue by extruding this upwards, so press E and just extrude this, and we will rotate this once again to match that other angle, the chest angle. So let's just rotate this and we'll scale this down. So we are creating something like this. Don't worry about the belly here. We'll be creating that a little bit later when we add more topology. So let's look from the front, and so far so good. Maybe make this a little bit smaller on the x-axis like this. Let's continue now. So let's rotate, and we'll now select this edge in the front and bring it a little bit up. So let's look from the side again and bring it up like this by pressing G, and maybe a little bit towards the back. And now shift click this one here. So once again we are selecting these two edges in the front, going back to the side view and extruding the chest all the way up here. And now we'll need to extrude this towards the back, so press E, then Y, and extrude this. Okay, now we can fix this a little bit by selecting this edge here, pressing G, then Y, and moving it here. And we'll now connect these two. So shift click here, press F, then select this edge here and press F again to connect this. And we basically created an opening for a hand. And again, don't worry about the topology right now. We'll need to add some more loops here, so press Ctrl R, add a loop here in the back, confirm, and release with the right mouse button, and in the front as well. So Ctrl R and release. And now we can alt click the loop here, select from the side, and adjust this a little bit. So we are trying to create a hexagonal opening for an arm, and you can see this happening on the topology right here. I will again use the annotation. So these are the edges we are going for. We don't see underneath, but basically it goes something like this. So let's press G and move this a little bit down. And we switch to the vertex select by pressing 1. And move these vertices around. So we create a nice opening for an arm like this. Okay, I think I like this so far. And now we'll create a shoulder. So let's go back to the edge select by pressing 2 and select this edge and Control click right here to select half of this loop. And we'll extrude this to the side. So let's look from the front. We are extruding this half loop and rotating this. So let's rotate it a little bit. And let's now close this up by adding some triangles. So again, in the edge select, I will click this edge here and shift left click here and press F to fill a triangle there, and here in the back as well. So shift click and fill this up. So we have the base of our topology. Now let's fix the positions a little bit. So we can go back to the front view, go to the vertex select and select all of these vertices, and you can see we are a little bit off here. This is basically the part here. So we can rotate this a little bit and move it here. And you will see how this is starting to match it nicely. And we can move these vertices as well here, a little bit down. And we can select this one here and move it towards there. So this is starting to look more like a body topology. And we can adjust this further by moving it to the right place. So this is fairly optional. You might want to experiment with this later when we apply subdivision modifier and you want a different shape of the body or something. But I've included this topology reference so you can match what you see on the screen right here, and we can select this vertex 2 and select G twice to move it towards the middle there. Let's now look from the front by pressing 1, and we'll extrude this short loop, and this will finish our shoulder here. So as you can see, we have our chest part here, and then it connects to the shoulder part and then extends to the arm itself. So we can alt click here to select this loop, extrude, press R and rotate to put it in place. We can scale this down a little bit, so press S to scale. And now we'll extrude the arm, so press E once again, extrude arm all the way up here, and let's just resize this. Don't worry about the middle here, we'll get to that later. Let's now look from the side by pressing 3, and I want to do a loop on the belly here, so Ctrl R and make a cut right here. We can release this by clicking the right mouse button, and now we'll need to fix this according to the reference. We want to make that large belly there, so first of all we can move this a little bit here and then drag a selection around these front vertices and move this all the way up to the front. Now I need to rotate this a little bit and select this edge right here in the front and go back to the side view, press G and move this towards here. Okay, and we'll need to fix the chest as well, and for that we'll need one additional loop, so press Ctrl R, do a new cut here and move it a little bit upwards like this. And now go back to the vertex select by pressing 1 and move these vertices into place. So we are getting to something more similar than you can see on the reference. And as you can see, it was nothing too crazy so far. You just have to be a little bit careful to see where you're extruding stuff and where you're putting your loops and where you're connecting things. But so far, this is fairly simple topology, and we've just added 2 more loops to the belly section here, so we can create a more complex shape, and we'll now do the same thing for the arms and legs. So let's look from the front and create a new loop here. So Ctrl R, create a new loop. We can rotate this a little bit and scale this up like this, and we can create new loops on the legs. So let's do a cut here and one more down here. And we can shear this once again, so Ctrl Shift Alt S and then Y to shear this, and alt click this loop and Ctrl Alt Shift S and Y to shear this as well, so we better match the underlying topology. So now we got to something really similar, and I can see some differences here and there. So if you see something like that, you can drag selection around those vertices and put them more into place. If you feel like there's too much lines going on, you can always toggle X-ray even in the wireframe view, so you have the nice clean view of the topology here, and we can already see that the topology here is a little bit off, so we can select this edge here, go back and move it a little bit to the side, and then adjust position of these vertices as well, so we better match the reference. And again, this is completely optional, so if you want to get as close as possible, repeat this after me. If you want to find some other shape that works for you, that's totally okay. The important thing is the way how you build the mesh and the topology, so it gives the desired result, but the shape is all up to you. And now I will move this a little bit here as well. Look from the side and match some of these as well. Now, I don't like this part here, so we'll need some more geometry there. And I will use a knife tool for that. So let me toggle off the X-ray so we have a better view of what we are doing. And now I will press K for knife, and let's click this vertex right here, do a cut towards this edge, then one more here. So we are basically creating a new geometry here by creating this triangle there, and now we can move this back so it looks a little bit nicer here. And I think this better matches the original. Let's toggle the X-ray once again, so I'm holding Z and toggling the X-ray, and we'll add some subdivision modifiers. So go to the modifier and add subdivision surface here with 2 levels. Now let's rotate this, go to the solid view, and so far so good, but here we want this a little bit sharper since there's like chest starting. So we'll use the knife once again, press K, start at the vertex here and make a cut right there. You will see what will happen if we hit enter to confirm our cut. You will see we created this nice sharp chest part there, and belly is going from there. So all good here. And now I will rotate this to the back, enable the auto merge here, and that's basically the function when you move the vertices around and you hit another vertex, they will auto merge if you landed on the same position. So if I select the vertex here, press G twice, don't repeat this after me, and leave it here, it will merge these 2 vertices at the same place if you have the auto merge on. And now we'll need to switch to the edge select, so press 2, select this edge right here, press G twice, so we are sliding here, and move this all the way down until it doesn't go further, and left click. And since we enabled this auto merge, we merged those vertices and we created a triangle there, because we really don't need that extra topology here. We just need to create the chest from here. And there are 2 little more things we need to finish. First, we need an opening for neck. So let's rotate this up, hit 3 for face select, select this top face, press X and just delete it. And now press 2 for the edge select, select this loop here, and look from the front and extrude a neck here like you see on the topology reference, and we'll need to match the y-axis as well. So press 3 and scale this on the y-axis. It's a little bit off, so we'll need to adjust this a little bit later, but right now we can move towards the legs and fix those. And we can toggle the X-ray again, so hold Z, toggle X-ray, and let's move some of these vertices in place to better match the leg. And we can help ourselves by locking this on Y, so press G, then Y, and move this around a little bit. And this somewhere here. Okay, let me look from the side. This looks all right so far. And now we'll need to add a loop here. So press Ctrl R, add a loop, and make it wider. So press S, then X, and scale this here, and maybe move to the side a little bit. So press G, then X, and move it like this. And now look from the side, and we can scale this on the Y as well. And here we can drag a selection around those 2 vertices, press G, then Y, and move this towards the front. So we are creating a little bit stylized foot here. And basically we are almost done, and you can continue like this, maybe fix some parts like the neck here, and you can move on, or you can stop here a little bit and refine your mesh according to the topology. I will do that right now. So let me look from the front here and try to match this a little bit better. I can see right away we are a little bit off here. So let me move this a little bit up. Then we can look from the back by pressing 9. If you're in the front view, remember you can always press 9 to look from the other side as well. And let me move these vertices around a little bit so we better match the reference. Okay, I really like this so far. So let's disable the X-ray and let's tab out, enable smooth shading. So right click, shade smooth, and we can have a look around. And I really like what I see. I think with these few extrudes and cuts, we were able to match the body topology quite nicely. So this will serve as a base for our character, and we can now move on. First, let me rename this to body. So double click in the outliner and type body in. And again, remember we first extruded legs, connected them to pelvis. We matched this angle right here, extruded towards the chest, rotated the angle. So you can see they are not perpendicular. And then we created the openings for the arms and extruded them. And then fixed the topology a little bit by creating some of these cuts with the knife and the shoulders here and stuff like that. So pretty easy and straightforward. And for this kind of illustrations, I had much better results creating the topology myself than sculpting and then having to retopologize the model itself. So this is the base for our body. Let me tab out. Let's press Ctrl S to save the file. That's very important. Don't forget to save often, especially when you're doing a little bit more tedious work like this. And let's move on to the next part.